Welcome back to the channel, where I review new movies and television shows for streaming content only. That means it's brand new and it's only available on those streaming platforms. And I tell you my recommendations up front. You don't have to watch the whole entire video to go and actually get my recommendations, but you will stay tuned if you really want to know how I got there. Sounds good? I bet it does. So today we're going to go and actually review Joy to the World by Hulu/Disney. Now, if you are a main target audience for this type of film, what is the main target audience for this? You're into rom-coms, you're into romance, you like those Hallmark-esque type of feel-good holiday movies. I am going to go ahead and actually recommend that this is something that you'll want to watch on one of those cold winter nights with a hot cup of cocoa. You might say, how is that a recommendation? I don't understand where that's at. Good question. Let me give you my tiers. Top tier is it is an instant classic, instant Christmas classic. You got to turn on every single year. Right below that, I have the comfort. Watch it this holiday season with a nice little hot cocoa. Snuggle up and go ahead and actually put this in there. It's worth your time watching this holiday season. Next level below that is a background movie, meaning that that's something that it's fine to go and actually throw on while you're wrapping gifts or preparing dinner or decorating the tree, but it's not something you have to go and actually pay attention to. You might just want to check in on it every now and again. Last tier, unfortunately, is it is cold. You just go ahead and actually put it in the stocking stuffer for one of those bad kids because it's not worth your time. So those are my tiers. And now that you now know that this is at that second level tier that we go ahead and actually put this on the list to go and actually watch this Christmas season. However, if you are a casual viewer, I'm also going to give you that second tier as well. I think it's worth for you to watch this Christmas on one of those cold nights where you don't know, is there something good to watch? This is going to be worth your time. Now, stay tuned and I'll go ahead and actually let you know how I came up with those recommendations.
This is my last book.
If this is going to be your last, we're going out with a bang.
We're all going to Goose Lane for Christmas.
What?
Joy is going to be broadcasting live from her home on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve is in 3 days. That's 72 hours. I don't even have a Christmas tree.
Joy to the World is a Christmas rom-com that premiered in November of 2025 on Disney/Hulu. It has a tidy runtime of 1 hour and 27 minutes, and it stars Anuel Shariki as Joy. I apologize if I mispronounce her name. You may know her from Superman and Lois, or she was actually on Entourage as well. Also stars Chad Michael Murray as Max Rockland, and you may know him from One Tree Hill, and just a boatload of these Hallmark Christmas type movies. And we also have Aisha Curry as Liza. Aisha Curry, if you don't know, is actually the wife of NBA player Steph Curry. So those are our stars. Let's take a look at the premise. Lifestyle guru Joy Edwards, whose cookbooks feature her perfect home life and family, is horrified when a TV network decides to film Christmas dinner at her fabled but fabricated country home. Now she must recruit her best friend Max to pose as her fake husband for the cameras, but they both discover something real along the way. I think you feel already where this is going, the script and all that kind of good stuff. Not a whole lot left to the imagination. If you want something that's a good comparison for this film, I would go and actually say probably the granddaddy of all these types of films is a 1945 classic, Christmas in Connecticut. This is one where the writer, the main protagonist, she lies about being like the perfect housewife and all that kind of stuff. And she's going to go and actually try and cover that. When her boss and a returning war hero invite themselves to her home for a traditional family Christmas, she has to go ahead and actually whip something up to go ahead and actually keep up the lie that she's kind of put out there. So everything that's kind of come after that is kind of derivative or offshoot off of that particular movie. If you want something that's a little bit more current that you can compare this to, I would go ahead and actually compare it to The Holiday with Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, and Jude Law. So that's a little bit more of a contemporary thing, but you could probably know a number of Christmas movies that go ahead and actually give you that same type of flavor. Now, let me give you my perspective on rundown if I'm a main or if I'm a casual for this. First, it's a Christmas movie. I'm all about Christmas movies. I love them, whether they sappy, crazy, all that kind of stuff on there. I love them. I love that time of year. So, boom, automatically on board for that. Rom coms, though, are on the other end. Not my favorite genre. Not something I really want to watch. Another thing that could go ahead and actually pull me into a movie, kind of help determine for me, is actors. If it's actors that I really know, mainstream that I really like, or even up and coming actors or anything like that. And sometimes some of those good role players are given like prominence in some of these type of Christmas types of films. Unfortunately, none of the actors that are listed here are people that I want to see or like or anything like that. So it's a negative for me on that. And then the last part is like the premise, as I already discussed, is very mid at best. It's nothing original or anything like that. It's not the worst premise out there. So I will go and actually put myself as kind of like middle of the ground when it comes to the premise on this. But when you kind of take everything as a package, I am going to label myself as a casual viewer for this type of film. The reason why I think that's important is that you should always know what perspective your reviewer has when they go ahead and actually give you their recommendations. If you like how that sounds, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now let me jump into the review. So storytelling. The storytelling in this is nothing if not formulaic as far as everything that they give you in a trailer, everything that they give you in the description of it, they pretty much deliver, most of the beat by beats. They're solid as far as the intro, letting you know who our protagonist is, what she is, all that kind of good stuff on there. They set up the people that are going to be trying to put on the facade and things like that. There's a very organic way of kind of putting them there. I mean, they are very much convenient plot. They're convenient people that are just put there in her lives or whatever. But at least you kind of get it and how everything comes about. The pacing was decent on this, meaning that, I mean, it's only an hour and 27 minutes. So they kind of get to the story and they get right into it. And they don't do a whole lot of weird filler times. Like everything actually has a purpose. I like that. The film spends the majority of the time in the best spots, and that is in the second act to kind of get you to believe that these people that are forced together to kind of make this family actually, can go ahead and actually turn out to, like being together and things like that. And so I think they did a good amount of time developing that aspect of it. And I like that. There were definitely some cheese factors, but I think what the writers did pretty well here. They did some decent script writing to go ahead and actually make even the cheese factors here not seem overly weird or anything like that. The third act was a bit rushed, but it has some good lines in there as far as, things that were put out there, what have you. So while we got to where we got to and all that kind of good stuff, I just think that it got rushed. It's really crazy. And I know absolutely it could have at least used one last scene. I don't do spoilers or anything like that, but I will just say, like, I would have liked to at least see one scene, maybe two scenes after where they ended at. Because actually, the last scene on there is kind of like eye rolling of like, oh, okay, that type of thing on there. But I will just say, for storytelling, it was somewhat entertaining for me. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't great or anything like that, but it was decent. The acting in this, it was cool. There were some ups and downs, there's some, here and there and all that kind of stuff. I would go ahead and actually say the central character of Joy was written pretty well for this one. And the reason why I liked her character is because you could kind of see she knew that she was putting on a facade and she wasn't trying to be like off camera. She was like a really good person. And she just, the character of her being famous and all that kind of stuff and putting on a facade was almost, a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, not a whole lot, but there were two sides of the same coin on there. And I think I like the way that they wrote her character. Again, a lot of predictability. It wasn't the greatest as far as, what we're doing as far as the premise, but I think for what she was given, I like the way that that character was portrayed overall. With the Max character, I think him and he played the super nice guy type of thing. He plays that really well. I haven't seen anything else that he's been in. I know I actually did. Saw him in one of his mini Christmas movies. I think there was one that was on Netflix last year, and it was actually pretty decent. And he plays the role pretty well. the rough looking good guy or whatever, but heart of gold type of deal in there, and I like that. The supporting cast was decent over here, not nothing to write home about, but nothing that I'm gonna go ahead and actually bash. I will say the little girl that plays the daughter, Taya Messier, was probably the highlight of supporting cast because she kind of gave a couple lines on there I really liked or what have you. But the rest were fine. I could believe most of the characters most of the time on there. But again, the acting was kind of like up and down, all that kind of stuff. So it was fine. Some other things to kind of mention out in there. There was a speaking role in here, a small speaking role in here, played by a woman who, again, I don't want to spoil it, but her character could have actually been written better and been a comical wrinkle into kind of putting the whole facade in, jeopardy and put a different spin on it or what have you. But they didn't write enough for that character. They didn't do enough funny with this, and they just kind of ended it. They just kind of shut the door on the character and the whole premise on there, and it was just it was kind of weird the way that they did it, to be honest with you. And I couldn't find her on IMDb. I couldn't find her role any place out here. So the woman that's working in the bakery, if you watch this film and you know who that is, comment down below. I would really like to know because I like the character that she was playing, not because it was super well acted or anything like that, but I think it could have been an interesting wrinkle that they could have added in there. And it doesn't seem like they're giving her any credit. And I think that's just wild. So that's just something interesting I learned about it. Also, there's a snowball fight in the middle of this. This comes to me on there because I'm from the upper Midwest in the U.S. and we know about snow. We know about snow, the stuff that you can't really make snowballs with, hard snow, freezing cold weather, all that kind of good stuff. So I can go ahead and actually tell when something's legit snow. And I'm gonna tell you the little snowball fight that they had, like, hey, if you're gonna go ahead and actually do these Christmas videos and you're gonna go and actually do anything on the outside, get something that looks like snow, that plays like snow. And when you're throwing snowballs and all that kind of stuff, don't you could do way better than what you did there, Disney Hulu. That was just a trash little snowball fight. And it kind of ticked me off a little bit. And then lastly, I think that this film did a good job of dialing back the materialism aspects of things and kind of going into relationship based on there. And I think that's something that's pretty important on there because while sometimes they go ahead and actually do that in some of these Hallmark type films or some of these cheesy rom-coms, sometimes they don't always work. This one, it did go and actually work. So overall, as a casual, I liked it. I didn't love it, but it's better than most of the rom-coms that you would see during these types of period. I think the main two actors are believable. You like them. They're charming. There's not an abundance of cheese on there. The middle part was actually fun and some of the lines that are delivered and things like that. And overall, it was a decent watch. The mainstream people, I'm feeling that they will go and actually like this just because it has better writing than the majority of these cookie cutter ones that just get pumped out by Hallmark every single year. Like Hallmark, I swear they just have a factory where they just push those out. There's also a couple other channels that I just know that pump these out during this time or what have you, and they just get like, oh my goodness. But this is actually better than the average one on that, so I think it's worth a little bit of your time. An overall type of rom com, I think you'll find it entertaining. So that's how I kind of came up with both mains and casual viewers. Go ahead and actually give it a watch this Christmas season when you have nothing else to watch. If you and a partner or something of that nature and need something to play in the background or you want to call up and watch, you could do worse than this. And for an hour and 27 minutes, I think it'll entertain the both of you. So that's what I have for Joy to the World, now showing on Hulu Disney. Check it out.
A live TV special here on Christmas Eve, and I need you to pose as my family.
You two are going to have excellent on-screen chemistry.
You stay for the entire review. I appreciate you. I really do. Just because of the holiday season, you could go ahead and actually, if you kind of like this a little bit, give me a thumbs up. It's decent. You made it to the end. It means that you kind of like what I went actually did here. If you really liked what I did, you could really gift me a subscription. That would actually be really awesome. Get my subscriber levels up here. But in any case on here, if you haven't quite decided if you want to leave me any type of present or anything like that, do me a favor and watch another one of my reviews. That'll help out here. But until the next time, I'll holla at you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that kind of good stuff. Enjoy.
Woo! Jeez, look at the time. I gotta get to bed. Brush my teeth, feed the hog. Still got some homework to do. Do the laundry, wash the